Alright, so I have this video planned for God knows how long, and I never really got around to doing it until now. The thing is that this type of video takes a long time to record, even though it doesn't seem that long for the actual viewer. There really is just so much to this story that it's kind of impossible to record something like this without making a million cuts, because there's going to be a lot of times where I'm going around in circles, and there's going to be a lot of times where I'm saying something that I don't necessarily mean, because this is one weird experience that I went through. Now, if you haven't already seen it, I've made another Storytime video like a month ago or so about the time where I got assaulted in a Dollar General. Now, this one is a little bit more complex than that, and there are some details that I can't give out, and then there's others that obviously I will. So yes, there's a lot of aspects to a story like this, and so I'm gonna try to tell you as I remember. I'm still foggy on a lot of things, and there's still a lot of things that I don't probably feel comfortable saying on YouTube, but we're gonna go for it. So this is the story about how I almost died. Now, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, because the actual injuries that I got out of this in and of itself was not severe enough to be actually fatal, but they had the potential to be. Let's put it that way. So I was in a car crash. That's in the title. But there is a lot of interesting things that happened with this, some of which funny, some of which just stupid on my part, and then some of which that are probably just entertaining and also informative. Spoiler alert, wear a seatbelt. Now, I remember the day like it was yesterday, and the weird thing is, looking back at it now, is that it was literally the most normal day ever. As a matter of fact, we were all pretty bored with how normal this day was. The people featured in this story are me, obviously, Bob Johnson Jr., which has appeared in other videos of mine in the past, and Lube the Barber, which has appeared in one video in the past, which is the video where we shaved our heads, basically. And then, of course, there's the driver, which has never made an appearance on this channel, so I figured why would I even really mention her or name her anything, like, personal about her, because, I mean, what... You don't know her, so it doesn't matter. She was the driver. We'll refer to her as that. So how it all started was it was just me, Lube the Barber, and Bob Johnson Jr., and we were at the pool. And I'm pretty sure we actually got kicked out of the pool that day because we were buying snacks from the concessions and then selling them to other people at lower prices, even though that gives us no profit whatsoever. We were just that bored. I don't remember if we left or if we got kicked out, but I know that we did get in trouble for doing that. Nothing of that is important. I just thought I'd point that out. Anyway, eventually we decided to call up our one friend that actually has a car so that she could drive us around, and we were just gonna all hang out. And we've done this millions of times before. As a matter of fact, we only drove on roads that we've already driven on before, so what is the harm in that, really? A lot. A lot. And we drove around for a good hour. And I remember that specific day, I guess it was really nothing out of the ordinary, but I will like to point out that we were going down the blacktop about 80 miles an hour. Now, here's the thing. I was the one that was encouraging this for some reason. Learn from my mistakes. Don't go over the speed limit. At least not too much. But yeah, I guess at this point we were having fun. Of course, we were kind of still bored because it was just the same things that we normally do. But to skip ahead to the good part, we winded up driving around on a dirt road. You see, accidents are pretty common with dirt roads because dirt roads are slippery, and if you're going too fast or if you turn too much, or like if you do one little thing wrong on a dirt road, things can get really bad, and that's exactly what happened. This exact turn, it was a dirt road, and so it kind of turns to the right. There's kind of a sharp turn that goes to the right, and then right after you get done turning, there's like a wooden bridge that you go across, and that bridge kind of goes over this ditch that just kind of comes down. It's a good 15, 20 feet. And from what I remember and from what I was told, we were not really driving that fast on this specific dirt road. We were probably driving around 40 miles an hour, and that's me being generous, honestly. We weren't really going that fast. But the part where it gets interesting is that we were about ready to turn, obviously, and end up on that bridge. Well, unfortunately, I don't know how it exactly happened, but I think the driver must have overcorrected or started slipping a little bit and then tried to, like, fix herself, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a good driver. I don't know these words. And in short, we ended up kind of driving through a field by accident. And you know that ditch that I mentioned? We ended up in that ditch. And the last thing that I remember is hearing the driver audibly say the words, "Oh shit." And I remember being on the field literally feet away from the actual ditch in which we fell in. And I remember thinking, oh, we're going to get into a crash. This isn't going to be good. Now, during this time, it happened so fast that my mind didn't really process that quickly because it was something that only happened in like 3 seconds. But within that point in time, I didn't necessarily think it was that serious because I didn't even really know there was that much of a ditch there. Now, it's notable to mention that I was the only one in the car that was not wearing a seatbelt. And I'm gonna be honest, I was stupid and I never wore a seatbelt. The last thing I remember was slipping off of the road, kind of going through the field, and I do not remember any sort of airtime. Apparently we had some. I don't remember it, and I do not remember the actual crash in it of itself. What I do remember is hearing the driver audibly say, "Oh shit," like I mentioned, and the next thing I know, I am on the outside of the car, walking around with my head down like this, just looking at all of the rocks, and everything was just all staticky. And everyone around me was just kind of in my face and saying a bunch of things, talking at me, like not even really talking to me, but it felt like they were talking at me, and they were just all like this close to my face everywhere. And I was just really confused because at this point in time, I had no idea what had just happened. I had completely forgotten that I was in a car. I completely forgotten who I was with, what I was doing. I was gonna say who I was, but I don't think it was that deep. But I remember Lou the barber in my face saying, "It's gonna be alright, just call 911. It's gonna be alright, just call 911. And Bob Johnson Jr. was trying to get me to give him his phone so that he could call 911. And I remember that part a little bit, but the part I don't remember is the fact that for some reason I was refusing to give him my phone. So I went back in the car a whole bunch. I kept circling around the car. I didn't even look at it. The car was completely totaled, but I didn't even notice that for some reason until like the next day when I saw a picture. I looked in the rear view mirror. Can't say that. I looked into the rear view mirror and I saw myself and I was absolutely horrified because this eye was just completely fucked. I mean, it was just, and I have pictures and I do have a video. I'll get into that in a minute. I don't remember taking any pictures whatsoever, but I remember the sheer horror that I felt when I saw my face in the mirror. No part of me hurt whatsoever because of the shock, but basically this eyelid was kind of split open at the top and there was, you know, an extra scab down here. And so with those two things combined, I could not see out of this eye. It was completely shut, and the top of my eyelid was split open, and there was just blood just dripping down my face, just completely. Like, this side of my face was just completely covered in blood, and it was not pretty at all. I keep saying the words "from when I remember." The reason for that is because nobody in the car, including me, knows what I must have hit my head on, but it was most likely the ceiling of the car. But I did end up with a very bad concussion, and it completely knocked me out. I was in a complete blackout, and that's the reason why I don't remember impact or anything like. That's the reason why I was so confused, you know? Another thing I don't know, and that nobody knows, is why my eye was completely split open. There's a possibility that when I hit my head on the ceiling of the car, it just kind of dragged my eye open and it just kind of split it that way. And then there's another theory that we're thinking that like maybe a piece of glass from the front windshield just came and like sliced it open. I have no idea. I'll never have any idea. I, for some reason, do somewhat remember kind of climbing out of that ditch and then just walking around on that top road with everyone. And another thing I remember is repeatedly apologizing to everyone. What was I apologizing for? I don't know. I was just apologizing. Another thing that I did that I do not remember whatsoever, but you guys are probably going to be happy to see it, is the fact that I took a video of myself, literally just got my phone out of my pocket, and I just started recording, and said a bunch of shit that I don't remember, and, here that is. I just fucked myself today.
Hey,
Let's go!
Thank you, man.
My eye's gonna be fucking disappeared.
No, you're fine. It's fine.
I'm never getting in a fucking car with a stranger. Not a stranger.
With a woman.
I don't know where my shoe is, dude. But apart from that, I do not remember much. The next thing that happened that I do not remember whatsoever was police cars and an ambulance or two and just a bunch of just people from the town. Like, people that I know, but I have no idea why they would be there. Like, all of our families was there, including all of our parents' friends, including our parents' friends' friends, and then their friends and their friends. I'm saying the whole town was there. I do not have any memory of them getting there, but I do remember them being there, I guess. I do remember my mom being in my face, like, just like how everyone else was, just saying a whole bunch of stuff, and it just was not registering for me at all. It was just like, yeah, she was talking at me, and I was just absolutely terrified. I had no idea what was going on still, okay? So the four of us that were in the car ended up in the ambulance. Now, two of us got to go home, and that was the driver and Bob Johnson Jr. They both had, like, some minor scrapes, but they were sitting in the front. They had their seatbelts on, and they got the airbags, basically. So, you know, they were pretty okie dokie. On the other hand, there was me, obviously, who had a concussion, a split open eyeball, and just cuts and bruises all over my body. And then also, Lube the barber, who was sitting next to me in the back seat, he ended up with a broken sternum, and I think that's because of the pressure of the seatbelt coming in on his chest, I believe. He ended up not able to pick up anything heavier than 10 pounds for a while. I don't know how Lube the barber got to the hospital, but I was the lucky one who ended up riding in an ambulance, and boy was that a lot of fun. Now, this is the part where I do remember, like, just about everything. I was laying in the back of the ambulance. Someone gave me an ice pack to put over my eye. I had this, like, neck brace, which I didn't understand because I didn't break my neck, but I guess better to be safe than sorry, I don't know. And according to my sister, we were going 80 miles an hour to the hospital. And this one part that I do not understand to this day was that obviously I was in a panic mode and I was asking a bunch of questions because I was just really confused. And I asked this one question where I said, am I going to go blind in this eye? And you know what the lady in the back of the ambulance told me? I don't know. I don't know if you're gonna go blind. Why are you asking me that? I'm like, okay, well, I understand that you really don't know because we don't know the severity of the situation, but could you at least say something more comforting like, oh, I don't think so, but we gotta get it checked out just in case. That would be so much more comforting to hear than I don't know. Anyway, we ended up in the hospital. They checked out a whole bunch of stuff on me. And I remember at one point there was this pretty young nurse that came in and she felt my pants and they were wet and she asked me if I pissed. Spoiler alert, I did not piss. We went swimming that day and I did not wear a swimsuit, so it was just my regular pants. Although I did have to piss a lot in the hospital for whatever reason. And at one point, it was pretty humiliating to do, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I was not allowed to get up. I had to stay in the bed, and so I had to have my dad hold this plastic container in which I would flip over, put my wiener in it, and then start pissing while he's holding it for me. You know, that's never fun. When I was in the hospital, I was just being completely flooded with texts because, of course, somehow, like, the entire town knew about this. And the whole situation was honestly just really overwhelming for me. I did not understand why so many people knew at the time. I guess I kind of do now because it's a small town and word gets around fast, but still, wasn't fun. We ended up staying the night in the hospital, and my mom went home. My dad stayed with me in the hospital room, and it was really hard to go to sleep that night, but every single time I would get some sort of sleep, this nurse would come in, and she had, like, this Western accent, and she was like, okay, so do you have any pain anywhere, honey? Oh my God, you poor thing. Oh my goodness. And it was pretty, I mean, I was into it. The thing that sucks about concussions is the fact that I couldn't really use my phone, like, at all. I was not allowed to. I couldn't watch TV. In fact, I couldn't even read. The only thing that you're allowed to do with a serious concussion like that is to just sit and look around the house. And even that's not really good. Like, the best thing to do in a concussion is to just sleep it off. But I'm a guy who doesn't like to sleep in the daytime, so it was pretty it was pretty annoying in general. The next couple of nights in which I would stay at my own house, it gave me a lot of time to think, and it was really just kind of a comforting, but at the same time uncomforting feeling on how, damn, like, we really all, like, not even just me, like, we all that was in the car got the, like, best case scenario. Honestly, we could have all died. As a matter of fact, my dad's friend's daughter's cousin got in a same car crash in that same area, but he was going way faster than we were, and there was alcohol involved with him. Not with us. There was no alcohol involved with us, but there was alcohol involved with him, and he ended up... That probably wasn't the most respectful way to put it, but yeah, he passed away. And, you know, I just felt really, really lucky, and it was really just great and at the same time awful feeling, because I'm like, damn, like, that was actually a near-death experience. And, you know, of course, the injuries in itself was not fatal, but it had the potential to be fatal, because I know of another dude that wrecked in the same place as we did, and he never got to see another day. I will say, even though I had a concussion and I was not allowed to watch TV or anything, my mom and dad left me home alone, and they took my phone so I wouldn't, like, sneak any in. But I did end up going downstairs and just watching TV because I could not bear the boredom. Even though watching TV really just hurt my head and eyes and brain, I just couldn't help but to watch TV. My mind needed to be stimulated, honestly. But we all got to live to see another day. We're all okay now. We're all good with each other. We all still hang out. We all still have a good time. But I no more go in car anymore. And I also should probably wear my seatbelt more often. Another cool thing is that when I was actually able to leave the house and go do things again, and the doctor cleared me, I'm good for work, I'm good for school, I'm good, we're all good, I went to the car crash site. Obviously, they took the car away, but there was something down there that I thought that I would never see again. What I am showing you right now is the Coca-Cola that I was drinking when I was in that car that very day. It was just sitting there in the rocks. That was it. And there was a whole bunch of, like, small car parts, like glass and pieces of metal. And even to this day, this happened months ago, but even to this day, there is still stuff down there because obviously you're not going to clean up the small little pieces. Another thing that I, for some reason, decided to pick up was this thing. Now, I went around asking people, even people who, like, know a lot about cars, and nobody really knows what this is. My guess is a cup holder, but I was not using a cup holder, so I don't know what this could be. But I literally have this bottle of Coca-Cola that I was drinking on display on the top of my DVD shelf. And that is where it will remain. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to take a drink of this Coke and see how it aged. I've never done this yet. I have not taken any sips of this Coke since that fateful day. And for this video, I'm going to do just that. Is there an expiration date on here? I'm gonna be honest, it just tastes like Coke. There's nothing different about it. I thought it was gonna taste different with age, but nope, it is genuine Coca-Cola. So yeah, a lot of interesting topics that I knew that I had to go over at some point for this YouTube channel because you guys deserve to know. I knew that at some point I was going to record a story time video for this, and I thought, what better time than today? I got nothing going on. Let's go ahead and do it. So I hope that I didn't miss out on anything because there was a lot of things to go over. So that's going to do it for today's story time. Probably the last story time you're going to hear from me in a while because there's really not a lot of events in my life that's actually worthy of a story time. But I'm glad that I got to do this one. It was pretty cool, pretty nice. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my content. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. All my social medias and everything in the description. And that's going to be pretty much it. See ya.